This is a story that hasn't been taught in medical schools for decades. Just reduced sugar is only half the truth. I feel sorry whenever I see diabetic patients avoiding sugar yet regularly consuming even more dangerous foods. Today, I'll tell you about 5 everyday foods that raise blood sugar more than sugar itself. Some might wonder, why rice? Cakes? But I've experimented on myself and confirmed with thousands of patients. The results were shocking. I'm sharing this because I don't want you to suffer unnecessarily. I'm Kim Young Jin, 79 years old, who has studied diabetes nutrition for nearly 50 years. After graduating from Seoul National University Medical School, I switched to nutrition and have been researching dietary treatments for diabetic patients. Even after retiring as a university professor, I still meet patients twice weekly at a diabetes clinic. I continue working at this age because I want the simple truths I've discovered to reach more people. I too suffered from diabetes. At age 50, I was diagnosed due to overwork and stress. Initially, I just avoided sweets and relied on medication. My post-meal blood sugar would rise to 220, and my medication dosage kept increasing. Ironically, a diabetes specialist couldn't properly manage his own diabetes. From morning to night, I was immersed in research and lectures, neglecting my health. After 15 years of this, my health deteriorated and my HbA1c soared to 8.5. Then one day, a 95-year-old grandmother visited my clinic. After her consultation, she asked me, "Professor, why do you look so unwell? You should reduce the medication and change your diet." That comment awakened me. She continued, "In our countryside, we say the dining table is the medicine table." In my 95 years, I've learned that food is better than medicine. I was shocked by her words, realizing I had spent my life believing in science while disregarding traditional wisdom. After 10 years of clinical experiments and research, I discovered how to maintain stable blood sugar while minimizing medication. These aren't merely academic theories, but methods proven through my body and thousands of patients. The changes were initially small, switching from white rice cakes to brown rice cakes, choosing buckwheat noodles instead of regular noodles. These small changes made a remarkable difference. Now I manage my blood sugar with minimal medication. My HbA1c is 6.1 and fasting blood sugar is around a 15, quite stable. I've conducted dietary research with over 5,000 patients and want to share the results with you today. Many patients succeeded in greatly reducing their medication dosage, and some completely stopped medication. If you implement this method today, you'll definitely experience changes. Are you anxious because your blood sugar isn't well controlled despite taking medication? Or are you suffering from diabetes medication side effects? If you think this video might help, please subscribe and like. I sincerely support your healthy aging. At first, I too was overwhelmed, unsure where to start. I analyzed hundreds of research papers and conducted dietary experiments with patients, and I discovered something surprising: just changing the type of food could begin to change blood sugar levels. Why do these simple methods work? It's related to the glycemic index, G. Not all carbohydrate foods raise blood sugar at the same rate. Some foods raise it quickly, others slowly. What matters is how rapidly blood sugar rises. Rapid blood sugar increases cause excess insulin secretion, which ultimately increases insulin resistance. In my lab, we studied whether 100 diabetic patients could manage blood sugar with diet alone for 6 months. We kept medication dosages the same and only changed food. As a result, 80% of participants experienced HbA1c reductions of 1.0 or more, and 65% could reduce their medication dosage. This proves that diet alone can have remarkable effects. One of my patients, 63-year-old Mrs. Choi Youngja, had battled diabetes for 15 years. Despite completely cutting out sugar, her blood sugar wasn't well controlled, requiring insulin injections. During consultation, I learned she replaced breakfast with a piece of rice cake daily. Mrs. Youngja thought rice cake is smaller than rice, so it should be fine, but her fasting blood sugar remained above 160, requiring increased medication. So I suggested a diet change to Youngya. Replace rice cake with a protein and fiber-rich breakfast, and when really craving rice cake, eat only half a piece after meals. Initially skeptical, she agreed to try for a month. As a result, her fasting blood sugar dropped to 130, and after 3 months, she could halve her insulin dosage. Youngja was amazed and said, "Professor, I didn't know such a simple change could have such a big effect. No one taught me this in 15 years. Now I'm teaching this method to my daughter and granddaughter." The core of today's video starts here. You need to listen to the end. About 5 everyday foods that cause high blood sugar and their alternatives to fully benefit. If you're visiting the Bexy Wisdom channel for the first time, please subscribe and like. I'll continue sharing valuable health information. Would you consider joining the membership? You can receive more in-depth health information first and catch-all important information. I'll put my heart into helping you live a healthy, long life. I deliver practical knowledge for health until age 100 every week. Have you thought diabetes requires lifelong medication dependence, or that you just need to avoid sweet foods? Now I'll tell you the truth about diabetes management. First, rice cakes, the moment they melt in your mouth, your blood sugar soars. Now I'll tell you about foods more dangerous than sugar. The first is rice cakes. Surprising, right? Our traditional food is more dangerous than sugar, but actually, rice cakes, especially sticky rice cakes and white rice cakes, are typical high GI foods with a glycemic index of 85-90. Sticky rice cakes are chewy and quickly digested and absorbed. The glycemic index indicates how quickly and how much a food raises blood sugar. When glucose's glycemic index is 100, sugar's glycemic index is about 65. Surprisingly, rice cakes' glycemic index can reach up to 90. White rice cakes especially raise blood sugar significantly because they're made with rice flour mixed with sugar. Let me tell you about my 63-year-old patient, Mrs. Choi Youngja replaced breakfast with a piece of rice cake daily. She thought it's less than rice, so it should be fine. But her fasting blood sugar remained above 160, requiring increased medication. Eating rice cake on an empty stomach in the morning was the biggest problem. I measured post-meal blood sugar changes with Youngja. After eating a piece of white rice cake in the morning, her blood sugar rose to 220 after 30 minutes. In contrast, when she had nuts and eggs for breakfast with the same calories, her blood sugar stayed around 140. Youngja was very surprised. "I didn't know there would be such a difference. I didn't know rice cake was such a dangerous food." You don't need to completely give up rice cakes. Limit rice cakes to after meals, not on an empty stomach, and eat less than half a piece. Nutrient combination is also important. Eating with protein or healthy fat can mitigate blood sugar increases. Also, rice cakes made with black rice or nuts raise blood sugar less. Now, when Young Jae wants rice cake, she eats a small piece 30 minutes after a meal with protein-rich tofu or eggs. There's more to be aware of. The chewier the rice cake, the higher the GI. The more soft and chewy The more easily starch breaks down, quickly raising blood sugar. Also, toppings, bean powder, honey, etc., are more dangerous. Especially honey, rice syrup, and red bean paste have high sugar content, exacerbating blood sugar increases. Those with digestive disorders should be more careful. Rice cakes may be hard to digest, potentially affecting blood sugar for a longer time. Especially those with weak stomach function may experience indigestion if they eat a lot of rice cake at once. How often do you eat rice cakes? Dekelway, you eat them for breakfast? How about changing your rice cake habits from today? It's a small change, but will make a big difference in blood sugar management. Second, ramen, udon, rice noodles, a blood sugar bomb after momentary convenience. The second food to be cautious of is noodles like ramen, udon, and rice noodles. Do you know how these foods, easily prepared in busy daily life, affect blood sugar? Refined flour noodles have a very high GI of 80-90. If you also consume the broth, you'll intake excessive sodium. Noodles made from refined flour are digested and absorbed very quickly. Especially soft-cooked noodles are digested faster, rapidly raising blood sugar. Additionally, most noodle dishes include sauce or broth, increasing sodium intake. Hypertension and diabetes are conditions that need to be managed together, and noodles are not good for either. 70-year-old Mr. Kim Do-hwan had ramen for dinner daily because he found meal preparation bothersome. He thought having just one simple meal with ramen should be fine, but his post-meal blood sugar exceeded 240 and he complained of extreme fatigue and drowsiness. Even doubling his prescription medication didn't control his blood sugar well. I suggested changing his dinner. Initially, he resisted. At this age, what should I change? It's good to eat simply. But I persuaded him to measure blood sugar changes together, comparing blood sugar on days he ate ramen versus buckwheat noodle salad. His blood sugar was 100 points lower with buckwheat noodles. Mr. Do-hwan was very surprised. I didn't know there would be such a difference. Buckwheat noodles are tastier than I expected. You don't need to completely avoid noodle dishes. Choose buckwheat or whole wheat noodles instead.